I'm Duncan Shaw. I'm a lecturer at Nottingham University Business School. I'm going to talk about how artificial intelligence is going to change the job market. If you're worried about AIs taking your job, then here are 4 things that AIs cannot do right now. I'm going to talk about how AI systems do not have intuition, they don't do creativity, they can't do critical thinking, and they certainly don't have empathy. There's been a lot of talk recently about how AI and machine learning technologies are changing how we work. And this has led to a few worries that might make you think AIs are going to take away your jobs or even refashion how organisations work. But what if we looked at this the other way around? What if we looked at the things that AIs are not good at? For example, we know that AIs are very specialised. They depend on the correct training data, and they certainly don't understand the broader context of their tasks. There are certain things that AIs find really hard to do or can't do at all. For example, AI systems do not have any real intuition. They are not genuinely creative, and they're certainly lacking in soft skills and people skills. So I'm going to talk about 4 skills that AIs may never be able to do. These are 4 areas that you've got a chance to develop so you can prosper in an AI world. First skill I'm going to talk about is human intuition. Instant, effortless insight, seemingly out of nowhere. AIs are very good at predicting things using patterns in data sets. They use repeating patterns of past events which are likely to be followed in the future. It might seem like intuition, but it only works for situations that AIs have been trained to deal with. New events like black swan situations or even new permutations of past occurrences are impossible to spot in this way. AIs cannot predict new events which are not part of the pattern they are following, like if an event was not part of the training data which produced that pattern. For example, an AI cannot be trained to recognize a completely new disease until there's training which includes the symptoms of that disease, which are also labelled with that disease's name. That's the training data. But intuition is based on the vast detail of our personal experience. Experience is our training data. But AIs do not have the richness and coverage of a lifetime of human experiences. Human intuition helps us to see patterns based on our experience which can be way outside of a current situation. We can get a feeling that something does not add up. AI experience is much narrower. Humans have much broader training data. The second skill I'm going to talk about is human creativity. Original ideas and solutions, not recycling. Creativity requires imagination to invent something new and original. AIs cannot invent, they can only recycle. Maybe human creativity is just reusing our past experience. After all, new ideas must come from somewhere. But like intuition, humans have much more training data, more patterns of experience, situations which interrelate and provide connections which generate new perspectives and new ideas. Maybe the root of creativity is insight stolen from our past experiences, misremembered sensations, and even random neurological noise. Certainly different experiences give us a new perspective on problems which can help to generate new ideas. For example, a feeling from playing with Lego bricks in childhood might suggest new ways to fit solutions to problems in a social situation at work. Another example might be the progression of music through an old pop song might even lead to new ideas about how to design the look and feel of a product. A rich lifetime of past experiences gives humans much greater powers of serendipity than AIs. We get ideas from past experiences that are completely outside of any particular problem we are tackling right now. The third skill I'm going to talk about is critical thinking. This is about powers of complex reasoning, not just following patterns. AIs don't use complex reasoning. They don't use critical thinking to find patterns in the training data. It's the people who wrote the AI software that do that. And every new complex problem needs the developers to do it all over again. After humans intuitively notice a problem in the first place, we use complex reasoning and critical thinking skills to study it, to define it, and to try and solve it. Critical thinking skills include analysing and interpreting data or explaining things based on evidence. Thinking skills, give us the ability to interpret ideas and information and to attribute causes and to plan and evaluate recommendations. Critical thinking skills also involve verbal reasoning and the ability to decode and interpret the underlying meaning within language. The AI software doesn't develop a fundamental understanding of the problem. It's the software developers that do that. Also, current AI technologies mostly use bottom-up techniques to sift lots of data and to look for patterns. Patterns which are useful for specific situations, but they're not very flexible. However, some firms like Vicarious are using top-down AI software, which uses higher-level conceptualizations of problems to give it more flexibility. The fourth skill I'm going to talk about is empathy and human judgment. Personal understanding gives us the authority to offer personalised, not generic advice. Getting the best out of people means listening to them, understanding them to see what they need, and gaining their trust. But AIs cannot understand human emotions. They've got no empathy, and we know it. AIs can appear to turn on their sensitive side, and they can even spot some emotions from the tone of people's voices. But they're only matching current and past circumstances and then acting as they were told to. This won't work for situations where there's no prior match and no previously said actions. Empathy helps humans do two things. The first is recognizing emotions, their causes and their implications. We can do this from having been there ourselves. We understand the personal context of these emotions, how the individual situation of the person experiencing the emotions influences that emotion and what to do about it. The second is that empathy gives us the credibility to be listened to. AIs can't share and understand the person's feelings. This is training data that they never have access to. AIs only get trained on the external results of emotions, not on how it feels internally, and how these feelings drive seemingly unrelated decisions and actions. There are several implications of this. First, emotions are uniquely personal, too unique to be fully recorded in training data. So AIs will only be able to recognize and act on the very obvious high-level emotions. Second, empathic advice from an AI is not credible. How can an AI encourage when part of the encouragement is confidence in the authority of the advisor? Inspiring the troops, empathizing with customers, and developing talent all require human credibility. Bottom line is that AIs find patterns in huge data sets and then use those patterns to mechanically make decisions. So they're limited by the coverage of the data set and by how they were programmed to find those patterns in the first place. We humans use intuition with much wider training data than AIs have access to. Human creativity draws on training data which might seem unrelated to the problem. Humans use complex reasoning and critical thinking to understand and evaluate why something is as it is. We do this as a reflex, but AIs need to be directed to do it. Lastly, humans have our own emotional experience to draw on, to recognize problems and to generate trust and confidence when we give advice. If you want to know more about all this, then connect with me on LinkedIn at Duncan Shaw, where you can find my blogs on new data technologies for business like AI, big data, and the Internet of Things.